Listen to me. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk to y'all real quick. Hold on for a minute. What's this? What's going on? Did y'all see this debate? Now, look, this is what I want to say. Shout out to everybody that participated. You know, I'm in Nashville. They had Nashville shut down. Trump and Biden. Like, you couldn't really go much of anywhere, you know what I mean, when they was in town. You know, so it is what it is on that. I feel like the way that this particular debate went is the way most of the debate should have gone. You know what I mean? Or at least the first debate, I should say, it should have gone. If somebody's talking over somebody, the mic needs to be cut, you know. So shout out to them for putting those, you know, procedural things into effect. That way we don't get a situation of one person cutting the other person off. So shout out to them for that. Now, the moderator, I think she's got like a lot of deep ties to the Democratic Party, but a lot of that didn't really even matter, you know, in this particular debate, because I feel like what I watched, I felt like Biden kind of exposed himself like with a lot, and this is what I'm talking about. You know, I felt like when Trump said, "I'm the least racist person in this room," I felt that. You know, because I'm looking at what's being done over the past 47 years of Biden, you know, having, you know, some sort of political power, and the last 8 years under the Obama administration, where they had control of the White House before Trump became president, there wasn't really much done for the African-American community. So we had the crime bill that was actually put in place, or helped to be put in place by Biden, which has incarcerated, you know, thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of like African Americans and minorities. You know, when I think about that, and I think about Biden saying that Trump is racist, I personally am disgusted. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, you think I don't read now? Or you think I kind of just, you know, think everything that you did is okay? Now, you know, when you look at criminal justice reform that Biden is saying that he wants to do, he wants to implement, he wants to have talks about, Trump has already done a lot of that. I don't know if y'all know, Trump signed in a law, I think it's CARE something, you know what I mean? But basically what it is he made it to where judges do not have to do mandatory minimum sentences on specific crimes. So, like, a lot of times people get like a, you know, maybe like a crazy drug crime or something like that, and they may have to resort to mandatory minimum sentences. The judge may not want to do that, may feel like that's harsh, that may, you know, put the record on the line, you know, with the public, this, that, and the third. They may not want to do that, but they're bound by mandatory minimum sentences that was put into place by Biden. See what I'm saying? So now Trump has made it to where they don't have to resort to mandatory minimums. Also, other crimes that, you know, they were forced to give you life, or I should say 25 years to life, they had to resort to those mandatory minimums. Now the judge could use discretion and, you know, for some serious crimes, instead of giving you 25 years, they can give you 20 years. Now, if it's serious enough crime, you know, you out here murdering people and stuff like that, that's different. You know what I mean? Like, you get 25 years to life, that's on you. You know, but some of these, like, sentences that are just way too inflated, you know, now judges actually have discretion, and this is the problem that they've been arguing about. Like, yo, you guys are, like, upset with us, you know, and, you know, the United States is incarcerating, like, more people than any other country for, like, small crimes, this, that, and the third. You guys have to blame the crime bill. You know, so Trump has already made headway with that. So it was kind of troubling to me hearing Biden basically say that Trump is more racist than he is, and he's like inciting and infuriating, you know, all of these situations. You tell me what you think. You know what I mean? You got a brain or you don't. Now, another thing that was kind of troubling to me, you know, is that I feel like the media, before I get to the next point, they're trying to glaze over the fact that Trump has implemented a lot of important things. Like, one of the things he's doing, he's trying to crack down on pharmaceutical companies. These companies that are making, like, helping to make people addicted to, like, Oxycontin and different narcotics and things like that. He's cracking down on it. A lot of the states haven't cracked down on it. The governors haven't cracked down on it. Like, I think in Nashville, Tennessee, there's a big opiate crisis. Like, you know, a lot of different places, there's a big crisis in terms of what's going on with pain medications, and people are addicted or being like prescribed pain medications that may just need Tylenols and stuff like that. You know, so what Trump has done is he had the Department of Justice actually file a lawsuit, you know, up against, I think it was like OxyContin or whatever, and they produce a lot of narcotics, you know, so they had to pay like a $8 billion fine, and they're actually like, I think they're supposed to shut down. Unheard of. Oh, the Republican Party, they're not gonna, you know, do anything about Big Pharma. They're just gonna allow them to do what they want to do. All these people are addicted to pain medicines. You know, all this stuff going on. Nothing's gonna change. It is what it is. He actually had the Department of Justice get on their helmet and do something about it and stop it, because this is a problem. And all these people are just like, you know, doing anything to go to hospitals or doctors. Oh, I'm weak, I'm this, and oh, I'm aching, I need narcotics. You know, so he's trying to put a stop to that. Also, starting in January, I don't know if y'all noticed, but a lot of low-income areas are having a problem to where insulins and different, you know, epinephrines and stuff like that are super expensive. They can't afford them. So he's cutting the price by 50% of these medications in underprivileged areas. You know, so, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, you may get people that may have ketoacidosis or insulin problems and being hospitalized because they can't afford, you know, treatment or the insulins or to really take care of themselves. Well, he's making a lot of these different medications more affordable. A lot of this starts in January. So let's just say Biden gets in. That happens. People are going to attribute that to Biden when actually Trump has already put it into place. It just starts in January. So a lot of these insurance companies are not just bound by whatever the pharmaceutical company tells them that they have to purchase, which is these high, expensive drugs that, you know, if we're in a different country, you wouldn't have to pay these inflated prices for. He's trying to change that. Now, another thing that, you know, kind of troubled me with Biden, he's basically saying there needs to be a federal mandatory minimum wage. Now, before I got educated on this, I was completely with Biden. You know what I mean? Like, or not with Biden, but with anybody that was pushing that. I think Seattle was one of the first, like, states to kind of really push that. I was for it. You know, I felt like, you know, people are kind of like in a situation where they need to be making more money. United States is getting more and more expensive. People need more money. Now, my problem is Joe Biden wants to raise taxes. You know, so if Trump has lowered taxes to 21% for businesses, and Biden wants to raise taxes, which is already difficult to get a business up and running and starting off, you know what I mean? As a startup, it's difficult to get that business up and running. If that was to be implemented and put into place, who would stand a better chance of having, you know, the ability to have a business do something like that? I wouldn't think it's somebody that wants to do that plus raise taxes on businesses. This will make it nearly impossible for businesses to hire. They're going to all start cutting down on for you being full-time, for you being part-time, and trying to make you do more work, you know what I mean, to try to get the same productivity out of you, you know, for the price of what it's going to cost to employ you, plus with insurance and things like that. So I think that's something that people are not thinking. Also, when you think about raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but a lot of big businesses actually came out against it. And for me, I'm looking at it like, okay, big businesses are coming out against it because they just don't want to give us the money. But how some businesses are kind of looking at it like, you know, businesses are geared towards growing and having growth and moving and expanding into different areas, even rural areas that may not have access to different resources and businesses that other big major cities may have. Now, those particular areas may take a hit in profitability because they're not going to get the volume that some of these, you know, bigger city businesses are going to get. But they want to make sure people in rural areas are still able to purchase their goods. So this could be like a company like Walmart or something like that. You know what I mean? So when the problem is when you go ahead and you force these businesses to now have to pay a federal mandatory $15 an hour like wage, now, you may have like somebody that lives out in the boondocks that may not even, it may not even cost them like $15 an hour, for, what I mean, for the wages to live. Now they're making $15 an hour. The business is now constrained. They may not be able to have that, business out in rural areas. And I know some people be like, I'm in the city. I don't really care about rural areas. Well, you got to think about this. Like I talked about earlier with, the taxes and things like that. If you have a business that's now bound to the $15 an hour mandatory, like minimum wage, they are going to start cutting hours. What business do you think is going to have exponential growth when the model of businesses is built on trying to grow a business? What business do you think is actually going to sit here and allow you to continue to have the same amount of, I should say, hours, you know what I mean, and still continue to employ with a high, like, minimum wage? Some people say, well, it doesn't matter. My thing is, slavery ended, years ago. So, we've got people that are not even legal making more money than some people that are legal. It's just the jobs that you take. You know what I mean? Not saying taking an illegal job, but, if a Burger King is going to pay you $7, $8 an hour, you may want to move ahead and maybe work for a factory. Maybe make that $15, $17, $18 an hour. Maybe do something like that. Or maybe, this is a thought, I don't know, go back to school, and get like a trade. I'm not saying go back to school to be a doctor or a lawyer or a physician or practitioner or anything like that. I'm saying go to school and maybe the, like computer industry or something like that, and get yourself into a position to where now your skills are needed, instead of forcing companies that can't afford to pay you this type of wage, pay you. And I'm not talking about big conglomerate companies, like let's just say like a Home Depot or like a Walmart. They could like potentially afford to pay you that wage, but like I said, expansion in the rural company areas may not happen, and they'll end up taking like a hit on profitability. That's on them, but they could undercut, let's just say small businesses by giving you that wage that's like, mandatory, minimum wage. Now, if you're a small company and you're barely making it off paying somebody $10 or $11 an hour, and you really can't even make all your bills, you even doing like, little schemes or whatever with the books, which is like kind of hurting the tax system, but you're doing little schemes with the books to try to make everything look good so that you can afford to pay your employees. You're kind of taking a hit. You know what I mean? Like now you may not be able to buy certain things from different suppliers. Maybe you may have a problem paying your rent the next month for your business to stay open. Maybe you're going to have problems like paying like your business insurance. Maybe you're going to have problems like, trying to get your employee like the best, healthcare that they can get. Maybe you're going to have problems on expanding and hiring, and now you can't like, produce enough in order to stay in business. And now this Walmart that's been around for like decades and decades, that has like a fundamental, way of moving as a system, as a business that can outperform you and take those losses to when they're in the red. And it may not matter this quarter because they're looking at Black Friday or something like that to make up their money, or Home Depot or Lowe's or these companies, you can't do that. You can't survive in the red that long. You already paying out to have a small business, all kind of money in loans, all kind of money, just to keep this business afloat. You living off of these cards, credit cards, and you're trying to pay them off every month. You got all these different expenses going on. You can't afford to compete with a Walmart or something like that. So you're going to get yourself into a situation to where big businesses are just going to come over and wash the small businesses. So it also takes away from the 10th Amendment. You don't give states the opportunity to create their own like minimum wage, for the states or however they want to do it. You're just mandating this across the board to where some place like Alabama or, rural Alabama or rural Tennessee, they may not need that high wage. You know what I mean? And now the businesses are suffering. They can't supply those, areas with resources that they may need because of higher taxes for one, and then you got like a higher, like, federal like minimum wage. So I think Biden has a lot of ideas that, people like, but in terms of implementing it and putting it into motion, I don't think a lot of these things would actually work. But I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. We all just citizens. A lot of us are not business owners. A lot of us don't care how businesses work. A lot of us don't care about profitability. A lot of us just care about getting paid and getting our paycheck. And I understand we got to feed our families. That's all we should be caring about. But at the same time, you don't want businesses to say, okay, it's not profitable to keep our business in the United States. Let's do all of our manufacturing out in China, Korea, different countries, and just, outsource, or I should say, sell and export to the United States instead of having things like built here or made here, like cars and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think. A lot of these McDonald's workers, no disrespect, but this kind of service you get, is that worth $15 an hour? Some of these people, you tell me, But I feel like people do deserve a livable wage, but it's just in a capitalistic society, it's just some things you got to deal with. You got to deal with choice. Are you going to work for that small amount of money, or are you going to go work somewhere to where you feel like you're getting paid the wage that you want? Even when you get a degree, you're making that decision. You know what I mean? Even when you're in engineering, electrical engineering, even if you in, like something like that, you making it bioengineering, like, chemical engineering, like you making decisions. I'm not going to work for Vanderbilt if they're not going to pay me when I want. I'm not going to work. You see what I'm saying? So it should be the same thought process even when you like, working regular jobs. You don't have to work at McDonald's. You don't have to work at, Burger King. These are not the only outlets. You know what I mean? But I feel like people get confined in their mind and locked up in their mind because they're worshiping ideals instead of thinking about their own selves and taking personal responsibility for their own lives. So I felt like in this debate, I felt like Trump was a little bit more, I should say, particular on how things go. You know what I mean? Whereas Biden is selling hope, and even with the crime bill, and he's being brought up, Trump brings that up. He's like, I made a mistake with the crime bill. Did you fix it? Or did you wait to say you made a mistake because now you're running for president? Who fixed it? I think Trump is kind of right. You know what I mean? I think he was the least racist person, at least on that stage, like at that particular time. You know what I mean? But it's all alleged. But y'all tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. And I'm not saying, vote either way. I'm just making y'all have clarity when you get in that ballot box and you got to make a decision. Make a decision on what makes sense to you, not what somebody's forcing you to do. And I know a lot of us as minorities at times, for the most part, we make a lot of emotional decisions. We do. We make decisions that will cost us dearly, not even thinking about it. You know what I mean? Just because we don't like something, we don't like somebody, we about to do something. You lose everything you got, you know what I mean? Like, and you don't even know what you have. So start reading about like different laws and reading about business and learning about business and maybe start your own business because, with the platinum package, and what Trump is already trying to do and put money into y'all pockets and start black-owned businesses. What we doing? What we doing? I seen Nancy Pelosi. She's trying to stop y'all from getting a stimulus package. And life ain't about a stimulus package, but she's trying to stop you from getting it. That's a Democrat, dog. She don't want you to have it because she don't want Trump's name on it like it was on the last one. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section. Is that somebody that cares about you? Comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about that. Peace.